Hello and welcome to another Bushwhacker review. Today we are going to be taking a look at Joey Logano's Shell-Pennzoil Darlington Throwback for 2020 and the original Bobby Allison Miller American Chevy. So as always, take a quick look at the box. So you just have your typical Elite box for Logano's car. Got the black honeycomb pattern with the chrome foil Elite logo. Not a whole lot to talk about there. They made a total of 117 of these Logano Elites. And here is the Bobby Allison box, one of those classic 90s boxes. Got Racing Collectibles Club of America. Made a total of 2,500 of these things. Limited edition, and got pretty much the same stuff around the entire box, with the copyright and such on the bottom of the box. Why don't we just hop right into the cars themselves. Here is the Bobby Allison, and here is the Joey Logano Throwback. Definitely an unexpected choice. I don't think anyone saw this coming for Logano's car. Shell-Pennzoil has pretty much always run like old Shell and Pennzoil paint schemes, so for them to run a Miller car is kind of random. Now, one version of this Miller American car actually had Pennzoil on the deck lid, and I guess it's a 22 car with Pennzoil that was on it in some spots, so that's why they chose it. It honestly does look pretty nice. Some people really whined way too much about this paint scheme when it got revealed. Like, there was a lot of people that were just practically crying over this paint scheme, and I don't get it. Like, it looks great. It looks fine. Could they have done some things better? Yes, but we'll get to that a little later. But hopefully they go back to a nice Shell-Pennzoil paint scheme this year. Said there's so many Pennzoil cars I want. I want the, 2004 Roush paint scheme, the Mark Martin Pennzoil car. I would love the Steve Park Shark car, or maybe the reverse Steve Park car. Just go back to a Pennzoil car, please. But anyways, let's get down to the video. And of course, we'll start with Joey Logano's Throwback version of the car. Like I said, just a really nice paint scheme. It honestly kind of works with Shell. That's probably another reason why they chose this car. Because, Shell's colors are generally red, white with some yellow highlights, and that's exactly what this car is. It's just a very bright and vibrant red. I don't know if that's coming across on camera, but in person, this red is amazing. It's very bright. But anyways, let's get down to sponsors. On the hood, you have Shell-Pennzoil. Got Ford Mustang number 22. Down the side, you have Shell-Pennzoil. You got Auto Trader and Snap-on down there. Got AAA and Discount Tire in front of the rear wheel. Got Money Lion on the C post. On the B post, you have Ford, DXC Technology, PPG, Mazak, Coca-Cola, and Bosch. Got the two winter stickers from Vegas and Phoenix up there. This does, of course, have the retro throwback tires as well as the NASCAR playoff markings. Worth pointing out, they are slightly off because it has the playoff markings, but they left the spoiler the same white color as the car instead of that off-white, which this looks so much better like this, so I'm kind of glad they did it. It's not off enough that I could really call it inaccurate, but it is worth pointing out because it does match the car where it's technically not supposed to. Anyways, on the back, you have Shell-Pennzoil 22 Crew, number 22, and the Ford Michigan license plate. Oh, that does not look good. That's interesting. Anyways, on the deck lid, you got Shell-Pennzoil. This is number 40. Got the same stuff down the other side as usual. Let's take a look under the hood. So you got Shell-Pennzoil and Powered by Ford under there. There's the Elite engine detail if you want to see that. The Elite still, of course, do have an opening trunk. So there you have the typical fuel cell and such down there. Roof flaps, of course, still do open. And there's the underside of the car if you want to see that. Like I said, it's honestly just a car that, people just really whined way too much about. Let's go over some of the complaints of this car. One of them was the fact that Chase Elliott did a similar paint scheme a couple years ago in the Xfinity series. That was technically a different version of the paint scheme. It was Davey Ellison's ARCA car, and that one had, gold stripes down the side and everything. It was a different version of the paint scheme than this one was supposed to be anyways, but does that one look good? Yes, but trying to compare it because a similar paint scheme once ran is kind of stupid anyways, but that's worth pointing out. Some people are mad, that one actually, changed the logos to match the Miller logo. And they're like, why didn't Shell do that? Well, for one, that was GMS, the team. So they were, able to change the logo however they wanted to. A company like Shell is not going to completely change their logo to match the logo of a beer just for a throwback car. Expecting that is just kind of stupid. That was never going to happen. And that's never going to happen. What I will say is they should have done maybe the retro logos. That 1980s Pennzoil logo that's on the original car, not on this diecast, but on the version they're actually, basing it off of. It had like the 1980s different logo. That would have been cool to put on the car. I don't see why they couldn't have done that. I also say they really should have given it chrome rims. That's another thing. I don't know why they couldn't do that. Are chrome rims still allowed, or do they ban those again? I honestly can't remember. Maybe that's why. But like I said, that was a complaint. Another complaint that people had was the fact they didn't change the number font to match the old car, but Penske has literally never changed their number font for anything ever. So once again, expecting that was kind of just wasted, because that's never going to happen. But I said the only things I said that they should have done slightly differently is made the old logos and the chrome wheels. But other than that, it's a good throwback. It looks fine. Some people acting like this is the worst throwback, or just, you're wrong. Like, it's not. It's not that bad at all. It's honestly a pretty solid throwback. But that's enough ranting. Why don't we go over to the original Bobby Allison diecast. This is one of those cars that came, screwed into a base with a case on top of that base. They used to do that for a lot of the beer cars back in the 90s. Which, luckily, this one is actually separate from the base. I say that because I have the Bobby Allison Miller High Life car from the same era. The white one with the red stripe down the side. Keselowski's original Darlington throwback. And that one, the screws that it's screwed into the base with screw all the way up into the chassis, and it holds the chassis to the body. So you can basically not take it off of the base ever. It's also got like big plastic things that kind of like hold it up onto the base too. I don't know whose idea that was back in the 90s, but I hope they got fired immediately, because that was a stupid idea. Luckily, they don't do this anymore. I mean, nowadays, they're glued onto the base. Not really much for beer cars, but for, like, higher alcohol cars and, energy drink cars or whatever. But that is worth pointing out. Anyways, let's get down to sponsors. On the hood, you have Miller American Quality Beer. Got absolutely no logos on the front, no bow tie or anything. Got a number 22 in the headlight. Down the side, you have Miller American. Like I said, this is a slightly different version than the car is based on, because this one has Quaker State. Where, like I said, the original version actually did have Pennzoil for some of the cars, but this is the only diecast that exists. You've got Earls down there in front of the rear wheel. Got some pretty typical contingencies and such. No Winston Cup logo or Busch Pure Polo Award logo or anything. On the back, you have Miller American, 2 number 22s. On the deck lid, you once again have Miller American. And you got the same stuff down the other side as usual. Take a look under the hood. Got that 90s engine detail if you want to see that. Pretty much nothing on the underside of the hood there. No deck lid or roof flaps back then. And there's the underside of the car if you want to see that. This is honestly the kind of cars that I think Lionel should kind of go back to and make again nowadays. Because, back in the 90s when they were making some of these classic cars from like the 70s and 80s and stuff, these obviously aren't up to diecast par what they are today. So they're plastic chassis, they're kind of wobbly, like they're not the best quality from back then. But again, it was the 90s, so I don't know. It definitely seems like something they maybe could work around with today. Like, they still have Miller licensing and everything, so they should make a new Bobby Allison Miller car of this, or the High Life, or, well, the gold car they don't have the mold for, sadly, but some of these other cars would be nice. If you want to get this, it is a brand new release for the Joey Logano car. Like I said, the Bobby Allison is a release from the 90s, so it is actually pretty rare. It is hard to get cheap. So you might have to look farther if you really want one of those, but the Logano is a brand new release. You can get it right now. There's also a dual autograph version of Logano's car that has Logano's name on the front windshield and Bobby Allison's signature on the back windshield. There's also going to be a color chrome ARC. I'm definitely getting the color chrome of this car. But I think that's pretty much all there is to say. Remember that you can always go to Circle B Diecast for all of your diecast needs. And if you use the code BWhack, you can get free shipping on any order over $20. So you can go pick this car up right now if you want it. But I think it's pretty much all there is to say. This has been a review of Joey Logano's Shell-Pennzoil Darlington Throwback for 2020 and the original Bobby Allison Miller American car from the mid-80s. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.